It is my pleasure to be here this morning. I was so honored when I was asked by LaToya and the ladies and Kelly from the Children's Board to be a part of this exciting symposium today. And I just want to start off by saying I was looking at Facebook this morning. I don't know why I was on Facebook early in the morning because I don't do it, but I know why when I tell you this. I was looking at Facebook this morning and there was something that said that life does not come with a remote. If you wanted to see something different, you got to get up and change it yourself. And that is so true, and it's evident by the ladies and the men and all of the community that I see out here today that you are ready to get up. Don't try to look for that remote. It didn't fall in between the sofa. You didn't leave it in the kitchen like I do. You didn't take it in the bathroom like I do. There's no TV in there. But it's you say, I'm going to put this remote down and I'm going to get up and I'm going to make that change on my own today. So give yourselves a real serious round of applause for that. Now, I won't keep preaching too long. Like the preacher said, I'm not going to hold y'all long. It is my pleasure. When I sat up here, and first of all, everyone in here is fabulous. Everyone in here is fabulous. The mothers who brought their daughters, the daughters who brought their mothers, the folks who brought their neighbors, every one of you all are fabulous, fabulous people. But I came up here to the table that said reserved, and then when these ladies started sitting down, I said, ooh, I am amongst greatness. And the person who's coming up now, she said, oh girl, sit on down. And I said, I'm amongst greatness and goodness. When you can look at that video, especially to my younger ladies here, my teenagers who are here, when you look at this is a legacy. These women are leaving legacies for you. So many times we don't have anything to leave anybody. But these women are helping you with all of these people in the community, are helping you to leave a legacy for you to rebuild, to regroup, to revive, to be re-energized, to be renewed. So it is my pleasure to bring this lady up to welcome you. I've known this lady all of my life. And I haven't been living that long, so don't y'all try to figure nothing out. But I've been living long enough to walk in the footsteps of great women. My mother was a great woman, and I've lived long enough to walk in the footsteps of women like Miss Doretha Edgecombe, who's going to come up and bring you the welcome.
I want to take a few minutes and let me change, instead of calling you women of Sulphur Springs, I want you to think of yourselves as divas. Can you say the word divas? With an attitude. Now, divas. Now, let me tell you what I'm talking about, divas of Sulphur Springs. First of all, the D in diva stands for dreams, hope, goals, visions, for what you want, not just for today and for the moment, but for the long haul. It is what you want for this community and future generations of this community. So today, think of yourself a diva who dreams. Dreams big, dreams extraordinary dreams, dreams with hope, dreams with the idea that I can be a part of this change. The I stands for intelligence. It is what you are. Each of you has a gift, a God-given gift that's unique in some ways, and some ways they're very much alike. But it's your intelligence, your intuition, you're being smart, you're being strong, brave, unstoppable, that will get you to reaching the goals, the dreams that you have for your community in which you live. The V stands for values. Those values that really talk about this is a live and vibrant community where people will work hard, where they will work honestly, where they will work together, where they work in walking a road and a walk of faith. It is a community where teamwork is going to get you through this. It is about having prayer and educating your children well and wanting the best for them and willing to make those sacrifices so that you can get where you want to go. And the A in this word diva and that's what you are this morning. It's all about actions. It is not just stopping at the dreams, but making a reality, moving it forward, having a plan, arguing about how it's going to be done, doing it in such a way that at the end of the day, as Van said, you put your egos aside, you put them leave them at the door, you put them on the shelf, because it is not about just you at this moment in time. It is about the growth of this community and how it will prevail for generations to come. And the S is about success. It's the only thing that you're going to work on. Who in this room is going to work hard for failure? None of you. And neither would I. And I wouldn't join a team that did that. I want to walk into a room like this where I see in your eyes hope. When I see in your eyes fire and fierceness and willing to step over things and work around them, rock over them to get where you want to go. Because today isn't good enough for your babies. And for the babies in the schools that attend in Hillsborough County, it's got to be better, and we've got to pave the road for them. And so today, I come on behalf of the Children's Board, who Van and Chloe talked about the survey that was done and what was done. Some of that was contributions from the Children's Board. But we're here today as partners with you, saying that you have what it takes. There's intelligence and talents and gifts in this room that can make you divas in which other people want to model. And let me just leave you as I take my seat, because there are a lot of other people who want to get up and say things to you, that you can do it. You can absolutely do it. Those two ladies did it in what is called East Tampa. When Van and I grew up, it was Belmont Heights and Jackson Heights and Leon, Ponce de Leon Ponce. But wherever it happens to be, whether it's Sulphur Springs or whatever in this community, the work that can be done by women like you. So give yourselves a big round of applause. It can be done. And let me just remind you, never let anyone or anybody dull the sparkle of your dreams. So women of Sulphur Springs, divas of Sulphur Springs, get up now and shine.
Now, before we take a break, I just want to read something to you. Somebody saw me. Where's my lady at the back door? She saw my book here, and I asked for a rubber band because I have used this book more probably. I read this as much as I read the Bible, and I read a lot. And this book is called Words of Wisdom for Women. And you see it's falling apart. I'm trying to hold it up with a rubber band. So that means it gets a lot of use. But I found this particular passage, and I want to read it to you before you go into a break. It's called Empower. It says, empower yourself to take full and complete charge of your life. Reclaim the personal power that you should have never lost in the first place, and come to know that you never really did. Feel the breath of your own power, the power to feel deeply, the power to trust your own voice, the power to create and bring forth life. Learn the true meaning of power, how to use it and how not to abuse it, how to stand in your power without stepping on anyone else's. Join with other women to empower each other. Summon up the inner will to co-create meaningful and joy-filled lives, and empower yourself to take control of your financial life and to prevent others from taking control of your emotional life. Remember, ladies, divas, you have the power to empower, and anyone who tries to tell you anything differently has absolutely no power over you.
want to thank Kelly Paris for inviting me, and for the Children's Board and everybody else who put this wonderful event on today. I'm going to go a little bit about me and how I got to where I'm at, and then I'm going to talk about how important this is, this event bringing everybody together today, and how important each and every one of you are individually. Now, I became a police officer about 3 years ago because I'm really old, and I became a police officer 31 years ago. I was born and raised here in Tampa, out in North Tampa. I am not, although we say I'm one of the Castor family, I'm not Kathy and Betty's relative, although we do call Congresswoman Kathy Castor the short Castor sister, because everybody in my family is pretty tall, and people go, you remember when you used to ride the school bus and your feet didn't touch the ground? I go, no, I know. I think I was 6 foot tall in second grade, so that's the way it is for us. But anyway, I went to University of Tampa. That was one of the doors, talking about doors being opened up and opportunities. Never, ever lose sight on the importance of you taking an interest in somebody else and opening that door, or just being that voice, or just that person that gives some direction to somebody, because it can be life-changing. For me, it was the opportunity to go to University of Tampa on an athletic scholarship. That opened all the doors for me. My family, I was in high school before I realized how poor my family was, because everybody around us was poor, and we didn't understand that. And so we didn't have the money to send, my family didn't have money to send me to college. So by virtue of getting an athletic scholarship, that opened up the world to me. I had some friends that I went to school with. I had aspirations of going to the federal level, and there was freeze on federal hiring by President Reagan, which probably most of the people in here have only seen in history books. But anyway, some friends said, why don't you come to the police department? I think you'll like this. And I tell you, I am blessed in so many ways. One of them is having a profession that I love. There's never been a day that I've come to work that I have not loved what I do, the ability to help people out there on the street. And that's very important for all the young people in the audience. Do what you love. Find out what your passion is and do that. Because if you're at a job or a profession that you don't enjoy, you're not going to be a benefit to that organization, and you're not going to be true to yourself. And in the final analysis, it's all about what you were able to give to others through your service, whether it's work or community service in your neighborhood. All right, so now I'm in the police department. Back in 1984 I started, and I worked all over the city, but as a major, my first responsibility was to District 2. I was assigned back in District 2 a long, long time ago, working with Norma and Joseph Robinson and a lot of other people that have come through this area. A lot of people now will see Sulphur Springs and see a lot of room for improvement. I see Sulphur Springs and I see basically something that was a diamond in the rough, and it has been polished and polished and polished. We have had, over the last 10 years, we changed the way we police in the city of Tampa, and we've been able to reduce crime by over 70% in the city of Tampa. And we've reduced it even further in Sulphur Springs. And you know how we did that? The police department didn't do that. The police department and the community working together did that. Because as I tell everybody, there's just under 1,000 police officers, and there's 340,000, almost 350,000 citizens in Tampa. So you're going to keep crime out of your neighborhood with our help, not the other way around. And everybody has stood up and answered that call better than I ever hoped for or dreamed was even possible. We give out citizen awards every month for individuals who get involved and help us solve crimes or help us catch criminals. And honestly, some of them I'm about ready to give some blue lights, a badge, and a gun to. As I'm telling you, they're doing a good job. There's no doubt about that. But that's why Sulphur Springs is the community that it is right now, because people get involved, and that definitely can turn any community around. And just the other day, I heard from one of my officers was out on bike patrol in Sulphur Springs, and a gentleman stopped him and he said, you know what? He said, what happened in Ferguson and is happening in Ferguson, Missouri would never happen in Tampa. And he goes, you know why? Because the community and the police department work together, and they have the kind of relationship where they can be honest about how they feel, about how the community perceives the police department, and vice versa. Now, having a good relationship doesn't mean you always get along well, or that you always agree. What it means is that you're comfortable sharing your perception and your opinion, and that's what's very, very important. And so I applaud everyone in the city of Tampa, but specifically in Sulphur Springs, because we always hold Sulphur Springs up as such a great success story, including Sulphur Springs Elementary. When I went out as a major in District 2, I had all of our staff members, which meant every lieutenant and captain and myself, went to Sulphur Springs Elementary, which at the time I think may have even been closer to like an F- school. It was a bad school at that time, and I'm talking about back in the early 2000s. And I made each of our staff members mentor a young child at that school. At that time, my little sister was in 3rd grade. She's 21 years old now, and I still deal with her on a regular basis. And she has a very, very productive member of our community, and she kind of warms my heart. First she was going into the medical field, and now she has an interest in criminal justice, so that just brings a tear to my eye. I'll take a moment. But again, it's very, very important, and that's something I talk to all of our school resource officers. We have school resource officer in all of our middle schools and high schools, and I meet with them on a regular basis. I tell them that their function is to keep that school safe, so the kids have a safe environment in which to learn. They don't have to be concerned or focused on being bullied or crime or any violent activity in the school. They can focus on learning. But just as important, and possibly more important, is that officer's role as a positive example for those kids in that school. And I tell them, as sad as it may be, you may be the only positive influence in a child's life. So make sure you take the time to make a difference. And what happens is they have kids that will come back and they'll tell them to the school resource officer, look, I got in college, I'm going into the military, I got a job, and the school resource officer is the person they want to come back and share their success with. So it really makes a difference. And it doesn't matter what position you're in, you can always make a difference in a child's life. And people will ask me, they'll say, you know, how do you have time to do some of the things you do? You make time for things that are important, and it's important for you to get involved, not only with the children in our community, but also in making your community better. Don't be one of those people that sit back and complain about the way things are. Get out there and fix it. Make sure that you're making a difference in your community every day. Now, I love the Summit Empowerment of Women. Nothing against any of the men in the room, but let's hear it for the women. Really, you know, who's getting it all done? We're fixing it, raising kids, doing all of those kinds of things too. Not that the men aren't helping out and doing, but that's kind of the way it is. But anyway, for women, I was telling a group yesterday that was referred to. They had a summit for women yesterday, and they had a panel that included Mayor Iorio and some other individuals on there. And I was in a FBI, it was a National Executive Institute, and it was law enforcement executives really from all around the world. And one of the presentations we had was this woman who came in, psychiatrist, and she did a presentation on the difference between boys and girls. And there was a lot of, like eye rolling, like, okay, you know, we're all adults, like we haven't figured that all out. But anyway, it ended up being fascinating. It was really fascinating. But a couple of the points that I want to bring across is that men tend to have a lot more confidence in their abilities than women do. And an example that was given was if there's a job and you need 5 skills for that job, If a man looks at that and they've got 2 out of the 5, they're like, I'm ready to go. Give me that job and I'll be the boss tomorrow. And if you look at, yeah, there you go, Kelly. Okay, 1, Kelly said. If you look at women, women may have 4 out of 5 of those skills, and they're like, well, I guess I better wait till I get that 5th one, and I'm an expert before I put my... You got to have confidence in your ability. You got to put yourself out there. And we have to support each other. We have to tell your friends the skills they have. Tell them the positive things that they do, the attributes that they bring to the table. And also be honest in the criticism as well. That's very, very important, that you're honest and forthright, and that we are supporting each other. Another thing is, and this is something I learned about with being a mother, who all's got kids? Yeah, the greatest thing in the world, I tell you, best thing ever happened to me as a leader, to understanding personal dynamics and everything else, plus the little ego deflators. I call them my levelizers. I'll tell you a couple funny stories about my kids and how they bring you right back down to the ground. But my boys are adopted them when they were 19 and 21 months. And I thought that I was going to get these little creatures and mold them into the people that I thought they should be. And in very short order, I found out they come pre-wired with personalities that you are not going to change, period. That's all there is to it. And so what I try to do is just keep them between the lines, give them the solid values, the core values, things that they need to learn to be good individuals. And so far, they're 15 now, and they haven't lost their minds yet. So they're very, very, very good boys. But with that said, a lot of people have that tendency to be the victim. And here's a news flash for everybody, is that everybody is going to be discriminated against. Everybody. I don't care who you are. Everyone in their life is going to be discriminated against. And that's not the important thing. What's important is what you do with that. If you go through the rest of your life saying, my 3rd grade teacher gave me that bad score on the test, and that's why I can't do this, and this. I have people that will come to me and say, well, you didn't talk to me 10 weeks ago. I'm thinking, I can't remember what I had for lunch today, so I'm not sure how you could remember that I didn't speak to you. It's all in how you process that information and whether it makes you pick yourself up and go forward with stronger determination, or just stay back and blame the world for everything that's going wrong in your life. And I have one of my boys is that, and whenever he starts with my teacher, I go, up, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And then my other son, when he starts to whine about, what do we do in this family? We find solutions. That's right. If you got a problem, you better have a solution with it. Now, there's always time for whining about things. I'm not saying that we can't complain and moan and groan, but you put about 30 seconds into that and then go about fixing the problem or making things right. So that's very important, and that takes a lot of self-assessment as well, and that's sometimes difficult to do, but it's very important to do for you to move forward. But know that God has given all of us gifts, and it's up to us to determine what that gift is and to make the most of that. I mean, for me, I'm a little bit angry that God did not give me the ability to sing well, because I am telling you that I don't think there could be anything greater than to get a microphone and open up and have a glorious sound come out, and that is not what happens. Matter of fact, on the panel yesterday, everybody had a microphone, and Pam Iorio said, oh, maybe we're doing karaoke. And I said, well, I haven't heard you sing, but I have heard myself sing, and that'll be the end of this little event right off the bat. But anyway, you have to figure out what those gifts are that God has given you, and you have to make the best out of that. It's very, very important, because again, in the final analysis, it's about you, not about the other individuals around you. So you got one chance at it. You got to make it as good as you possibly can. Now, again, having kids, as I said, is the greatest thing in the world. They make you realize what's important in life. When we first adopted the boys was back when 9/11, the day that it occurred, and I was over in Mayor Greco's office. I was in charge of intelligence at the time, and I was over at Mayor Greco's office kind of, figuring out the plan of what we were doing, and I get a call on my personal cell phone, and it's the woman who's watching the kids, and my son had been stung by a wasp. So I'm talking to the mayor about, yes, we've got people at MacDill Air Force Base, and we're working with the FBI, and we've got the Secret Service on the phone. And then I'm over in the corner going, it's okay, baby, it'll be all right. Put some ice on it. Mama will kiss it when I get home. But really, that's when it comes down to it, that's what's important. And for me, there's nothing more important than being a mom. That's very important. And that's something someone brought up yesterday too, is again, you only have so much time in your day. And for women, we feel like we have to do everything for everybody. We don't know how to say no. So you have to figure out what's important, and you have to do it well. Because if you try to be everything to everybody, you're not going to be anything to anyone. You have to figure out what it is and do a few things very, very well, and understand that you can't do it all. With my boys, when I'm with them, I am with them, and I try to lose the phone. And of course, I said now that they're 15, they don't want me with them, which is the time I am with them. But anyway, those kind of things, giving your undivided attention to whoever you're with at that time, and being in the moment, and being everything you can be to that person. But realize as women, you don't have to be superhuman and save the world all in one day. You can have at least a week in order to change everything that there is to be changed in the world. All righty. All right, I'll give you a couple of kids' stories, and then do you want me to open up to questions if anybody has any? Okay, and trust me, I've been interviewed by every reporter there is to be interviewed by, and as I said, I have 2 kids, so they'll, there isn't anything that's a secret around our house. But I'll tell you a couple things with my kids. One, I have my hair. I know nobody else has a problem of having gray hair from stress. So one of the beauties of being a woman is you can have your hair renaturalized, as I call it. People say, is your hair naturally blonde? And I said, yeah. I said, I give my hairdresser a lot of money, and naturally she turns my hair blonde. So I had a photograph of myself, and somebody had taken it at a parade. They sent it, and I was standing there with one of my boys, and the wind had blown my hair back, and it was all gray. And I go, oh, man. I said, I look old. And he goes, no, Mom, I think you're beautiful. And I'm like, oh, what kind of car do you want, you little sweet thing? He's all of like 8 years old. So he says, no, Mom, I think you're beautiful. And then without hesitation, he goes, but your teeth are humongous. Thanks, buddy. I know, they always got something. That's the truth. And then another one we did. We auction off a day with the chief for charities for anything, big brothers, big sisters, any big events, and somebody can come and spend the day with the chief. Well, it actually started a young girl called from a school, and they were having an auction, a gala at their school, and I said, sure, you can auction a day off. So my son Sealy, he wants to know, Mom, how much did you sell for? And I said, well, I don't know. I said, call and find out. So he calls and he goes, Mom, he said, you sold for $65 to a 12-year-old girl. And I go, well, that's good. I said, they raised $65 for their school. And might I add that since then they've done these auctions over and over and over. And when there are adults involved and there's alcohol involved, it's amazing how much money people will spend to spend the day with the chief of police. But anyway, so $65. So my son goes, I said, that's good, $65 for their school. And he goes, well, Mom, what are you going to do? You're going to take her shopping? I'm like, buddy, it's a day with the chief. Why would I take her shopping? I said, she's going to come to work with me. And he goes, wow. And he goes, wait till she finds out she wasted $65 on that. He goes, what a ripoff. Thanks. He goes, my brother and I have to come to work with you for free, and we don't even want to do it. So he goes, well, what are you going to do? And I go, I don't know. I said, I guess I'll take her to some meetings and stuff. He goes, ooh, that'll make it better. So finally, he pressed me to the point. I said, well, you know what? I said, I think I'll take her up for a ride in the helicopter. And he goes, what? He goes, I've never been in the helicopter. I said, well, give me $65. Shut his little mouth right on down. But anyway, I tell you, they're the best. Then, I don't know if anybody saw, I actually retired in May from the police department, and the mayor the mayor kept me on contract for 1 year until next May. So I picked my boys up there in high school now, so driving, and my son goes, hey, Mom, is that a new holster you have? Those are the kind of conversations you have in a police family. He goes, is that a new holster you have? And I said, no, buddy. I said, that's the same one I always have. I said, huh, but I have a shiny new name tag. And he goes, oh, what does it say? Contract worker? That's about the time he started walking home from school. Look at the new concept. Let's see how long it takes you to walk. But anyway. All right, well, what I wanted, before I open it up for questions, I just want to say thank you to everybody that is involved in the back. I know Carla Jackson's here from the city. She works tirelessly to make things better in the neighborhoods. And my friend Norma Robinson, good Lord, she's probably seen more of me than she ever wants to see. And everybody up here at the table that, you know, we've with Chloe and Van and everybody that's been involved in changing the neighborhoods. And that's one of the things, too, that if you haven't been here from the beginning, you haven't seen how far we have come. But there's still a long way to go. And we got to make sure that we do our part, make sure that we're taking responsibility out in the community for the actions of the young kids, too. I know all of the older people in the room, like me, if you did something inappropriate, the parents jumped in and set you straight. I know times have changed, but we still need to get involved with raising the kids out in the community and making sure that everybody is doing the right thing. And having open, honest dialogue, not being afraid to call into the police department and say, why did you do this? Because you usually find out that when you have people that disagree, that usually the solution is right in the middle, as well as the truth. And it's sometimes people's perception gets a little bit skewed. All right, the last thing is, I think a lot of people have been through our Citizens Academy. We have another one that's starting up. We have 2 a year. We have another one that's starting up soon, and basically that gets you a behind the scenes of the police department, and you get to see exactly what goes in to your department, to your police officers, and how they're trained and how they interact. And the best, it's 9 weeks, 3 hours, one weeknight a week for 9 weeks, and it includes a ride-along. The best night for us, the police department, is a use of force night, because we make all of the citizens the police officers, and they shoot everybody. Anybody know Yolanda Anthony? They're doing traffic stops. Yolanda Anthony tells the guy, get out of the car. He goes, I'm not getting out of the car. She goes, get out of the car. He goes, I'm not getting out of the car. She goes, that's it. She shoots him. Well, not with paintballs. But I'm like, Yolanda, what's going on? She goes, I told him 2 times to get out of that car. I'm like, okay, Yolanda, that's not the way we do it, okay? But anyway, it's a very entertaining and very eye-opening, because most people don't have up-close interactions with their police department. We also have a youth academy during the summer. We've had 2 of them so far during the summer weeks. And at the end of it, for any of the youngsters in the room, you get either an iPad or a Windows pad to help you out with the school year. And again, that's just to show everybody what makes up the police department and what goes into keeping our community safe.
I do have a story. And it's that God is a God of second chances. That God is a God that gives you beauty for ashes. That God is a God that will say it's never too late. So with that, I'll tell you a little bit about myself before I go into the speech, because I grew up there in Orlando. I grew up in Tavares, Florida, and it's part of my speech, but it's not in there. but I need to let you know who you're speaking to before I speak, so you know where I'm coming from. Because you can never forget, even when God takes you amongst those that are in ivory towers. I can't forget about the little wood shack I grew up in with the bathroom on the back porch. I can't forget about the one-bedroom apartment that my mother took us to in Orlando, Florida, that didn't have an AC. And she slept in the front room while my two brothers and I slept in bunk beds in the one bedroom. I can't forget about the little girl that walked around with holes in her shoes, bell bottoms that were actually not bell bottoms anymore. They were water high, if you want to call them. You know, but God is good. So I just want to go ahead and tell you about the girl that God decided to use, somebody like me. So I'm pleased to join with you today. And it truly is a blessing, because when I drove up into Sulphur Springs, I almost felt like I was driving up into Verizon, because that's really my roots. It's a little country town down 441. When I grew up, it had one stoplight, one high school, and one middle school, and one elementary school. But my dear friends, women of Sulphur Springs, though I'm a woman from Paramore in Orlando, I am in spirit a woman of Sulphur Springs. And you are all women of Paramore. We're one. I love your mission statement. Women of all ages, we're all little girls who have grown up to various ages with similar hopes and dreams. Our very presence here today suggests that we care. And we have lived lives sharing with one another, sharing how to love, sharing how to cry, and also sharing how to laugh. And thank you, Chief, for making me laugh. It's been a hell of a week down there in Orlando. I needed it. But most of all, how to get back up from being knocked down and how to move forward. Our mothers and mentors handed down their wisdom, and we've been tasked to do the same with our daughters and mentees. I think about my life. I hear the words of Langston Hughes. Life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up and places with no carpet on the floor bare. But all the time I've been climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners, and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. Yes, I grew up in Paramore, a neighborhood there in Orlando some call the wrong sides of the tracks. I'm a former welfare mother, though I'm an honor grad and scholar and athlete from Jones High School. I then joined the U.S. Navy, and after that I came back to Paramore, which was still full of broken dreams and promises. So there I made some mistakes, ran with the wrong crowd, turned a few wrong corners, got in trouble, made some mistakes, and yes, Chief, became a convicted felon. But God is a good God. My rights was restored, and then I moved forward. Without any marketable skills, I began to have babies. 3, 2 sons and a daughter out of wedlock, on the rolls of welfare, food stamps, now sleeping on my mother's sofa. But one day, like the prodigal son, or better yet, like the prodigal daughter, I came to my senses and picked myself up, laced up my bootstraps, and made my way to a local community college and earned a degree in nursing. Then I began to own several businesses. Having struggled, overcome, and survived many challenges in life, I began to share with my neighbors and friends the hope that life can change, that you are the change that life has been waiting for. And so today I can recite those other words of Langston Hughes. I too sing America, America, America. I'm the darker sister. They used to send me to eat in the kitchen when company came. But I laughed, and I ate well, and I grew strong. Today, I sit at the table when company comes. Nobody dare say to me, eat in the kitchen. Besides, they now see how beautiful I am. Besides, not bragging, but now I'm the city commissioner. Sharing, thank you. To God is good. But God and the people, not me, but God. Sharing and caring, coming together to improve our community, our city, and our state. This is the drive that energized me to run for public office. I'm not a politician. I'm a mere servant that God has called. I'm a simple woman who cares. I'm a woman trying to share because I had a second chance. I'm a woman working to improve my community. As I improve my community, as you are, the women of Sulphur Springs, that improve Sulphur Springs and the children and ladies that I see here today, then together we build a better world for all women, be they babies, young adults, or grannies. We're all one. Once when I was a little girl in Tavares, Florida, I saw a lightning bug, as some call a fly, in the night air. It was green and it was glowing. And I asked my uncle, I said, Uncle, what makes it glow? He reached out and grabbed it. He was a big, tall man with them big hands. And he took his little pocket knife and cut it open. And this little green, gooey stuff started flowing out. And he said to me, baby, it is the stuff inside of it, just like the stuff inside of you, that make you glow. Well, it is that stuff flowing in me that makes me glow. It's that stuff inside of me that makes me get up every morning, even against all odds, that makes me hopeful and helps me keep the faith, even against all odds. What I deeply believe in, what makes me tick, is that I have the audacity to believe that every woman, be she young or old, can have a healthy diet for her body and a viable ongoing education, and culture for her mind, and dignity and equality to enrich her self-esteem. This is my core belief. This is my hope. This is my fight every day that I wake up. Let us consider health. I am a nurse of 23 years. We must learn to eat a healthy diet. We must learn to eat close to nature as possible. And it's amazing that we had this natural lunch. It's very important. That means a variety of fresh fruits and vegetables and fewer processed foods. We must teach our little girls to eat whole grains and high fiber foods. We must teach our parents to cook nutritious meals, even though the steepest that they find might not be affordable for them to cook nutritious meals. But I do believe that if we teach our parents that live in lower disadvantaged neighborhoods, that even on SNAP, that we can create nutritious meals for our children. Exercise is important. Heart disease is the leading cause of death among women in America. Exercise will help keep your heart healthy. We all need to exercise at least 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, if not every day. This means walking, swimming, jogging, bicycling, and dancing. And I say yes, dancing, even though I can't dance a tap. We must learn to manage stress, no matter what stage of life. We, as women, wear many hats in our work and family lives. We deal with a lot of pressures and stress. As the chief said, our community expects us to be superwomen, and we carry that weight. So take a few minutes every day just to relax and get your perspective back in line. Keep your eyes on what is really important. And don't take long to do it. It could just be 10 minutes. Doesn't have to be all day. And above all, what I love is don't forget to laugh, because laugh is good for the soul. In my position as city commissioner, I'm working with the health and nutrition entities in my community to eradicate food deserts in Orlando. Thanks to First Lady Michelle Obama, the federal government is partnering with small grocers and food-deprived areas to help provide fresh fruits and vegetables and good quality meats. Something that we have in Orlando, in my particular area, is multiple layers of food deserts. And if you don't know what a food desert is, it's an area that you don't have local grocery stores. I know some do, but just in case many don't. It's an area where you don't have anything but corner stores. You don't have fresh fruits and vegetables. And that's something that I'm fighting under initiative that I'm doing there in my community. We even have I remember growing up earlier, especially in Tavares, we had a fresh fruit truck that would come by and say, tomatoes, watermelons, corn. So we've just converted through a grant one of our largest city buses, transit buses, to where it will come through the community with our fresh fruits and vegetables. So I'm excited about that. Healthier neighborhoods. In my position as city commissioner, I've engaged our parks and recreation departments to reinvigorate, the recreation programs in my neighborhoods. I want everyone exercising. I've encouraged people young and old that I've started and created a senior swimming course there, where it's a swimming course in one of our local pools where it's like aqua aerobics. And the seniors have taken place in that this summer, and it's just amazing the difference that they're making now. And they have walk clubs that they're forming. So my youth and my seniors are very important to me. Women are sharing and caring, coming together to improve our own community. I'm convinced that a viable and ongoing education is the right of every American. I know that you are working to improve Sulphur Springs Elementary. The little black, brown, and white children who attend the school need the best education possible if they're going to make it in the world to come. Our little girls will no longer be compared to the little boys in Sulphur Springs. They're being compared to the little girls in South Korea, Japan, and China. They're being compared to the little girls in Germany and Finland. We stopped living in a world marked by geography a long time ago. Before you leave home in the morning, you have dealt with almost half of the world. Then you reach for a towel, and a Chinese hands you that towel. You go to have breakfast, and you reach for a cup of coffee, and a Colombian hands you that cup of coffee. You reach for some jam, you put on your toast, and a Malaysian has handed you that jar of jam. You go to get dressed, and an East Indian hands you a silk scarf. And a lady from New Zealand or Spain hands you a wool pantsuit. You go to your car, and a Japanese hand you your car keys. So what I'm saying is, before you leave home again, you have dealt with half of the world. In the terms of knowledge, we now know more than women have known in any period of history. We have whole volumes of facts at our disposal. with just a touch of a computer keypad. We know more about mathematics, about science, about social science and psychology than we ever known in any period of world history. Scientific progress over the past years have been amazing. Womankind, through her scientific genius, has been able to warp distance and place and time. Today it's possible to eat breakfast in New York City and have lunch in London, England. But much more than that, we live in a world in which business partners in China can meet with a potential client in South Africa, while her secretary can take notes in California. The future will not be built with bricks and mortar. The future will be built with silicone chips. We're getting our daughters ready. We're quickly realizing a world which we are all citizens of the world, one human race. The little girls who must come through Sulphur Springs Elementary must be able to compete on a world market. They must master science and technology. They must be able to speak world languages. They must have a firm grasp on the Queen's English. So do Regina Hill. Spanish and Mandarin Chinese. When we check their report cards, now an F means that we have failed them. We, meaning the teacher, me, elected officials, and parents. When we find a D, it means we have not done our job. When we see a C, it means children don't care, and we must give that girl a reason to do well. When we come across a B, it means the child is a little slack and needs some encouragement. The only acceptable grade in this 21st century is an A. The world will not accept anything less. For at the banquet table of life, there are no invitations. Admission comes with a cost, and you must bring something to get something. There are 7 billion people standing in line, and there is only room for those who have marketable skills that they offer at the table. Education is more than just getting a job now. The world we are living in is now moving so fast that the job today is obsolete tomorrow. Our little girls must get educations that will help them bend with the winds of change. The chief aim of education is to enable our girls to shift weight and evidence, to discern truth and fancy, the real from the unreal, and facts from fiction. The function of education, therefore, is to teach our children to think intensively and to think critically. A good education provides both intelligence and character. That goal is of true education, if you put those two together. There's nothing more attractive and respectful than a healthy and well-educated young lady and woman. Health and education is not only for the young. Education is a lifelong process. Yes, we must get our young girls through grade school and be certain they graduate from high school. We must be sure they graduate with necessary skills to either go into trade or go off to college, prepared for success. We must work with our mothers who didn't finish high school and help them to get a GED and help them to acquire worthwhile skills so they can become productive members of society. Those who were fortunate enough to graduate from college can't rest on your laurels. They must too continue to stay abreast of changing needs. Education is a mechanism by which we release our creative powers into the universe. Just think, we were created and placed on this face called Earth, naked. But with time, we clothed ourselves. With time, we graduated. With time, we became the fierce divas that we are today. Benjamin Franklin flew a kite and realized the power of electricity. And Thomas Edison captured it with rain. And thought wires and through wires, we now click a switch and the light comes on. God said to the heavenly hosts that when womankind is unified and put their minds to something, nothing is impossible for them. Women of all ages sharing and caring together to improve Sulphur Springs. This means we must all have and help other women realize dignity and equality for their lives. Dignity is a concept used in moral and ethical terms to signify that a woman has an innate right to be valued and receive decent treatment. It is an extension of the Enlightenment era of inherent and inalienable rights. Dignity also has descriptive meanings pertaining to human worth and ordinary usage. It simply means respect. So today, Sulphur Springs, according to Elder, the question of whether humans have an equal right to dignity is bound in the question of whether humans are truly equal. The dignity of a woman is the dignity of a human being as a person. My faith insists that the dignity of the human person is rooted in her creation, in the image of the likeness of God. All women, and much as they are created in the image of God, have the dignity of a person. Her right to exercise her freedom belongs to her because it is inseparable from her dignity as a human person. Equality is a state of affairs in which all people ought to have the same status, whether they're children, whether they're grown, or whether they're little boys and men, whether they're criminals, whether they're on welfare, whether they're on food stamps, no matter your walk. In the complexity of economics, we must work extra hard to ensure women who come behind us have much easier times breaking through the financial glass ceiling. So I'm coming to a close. We have talked about standing up against the odds, which has been my story's life. We've talked about the importance of health, a good diet and exercise, because I believe that we have an obligation to be around as long as possible, to gather as much wisdom, to share it with our sisters who are coming along behind us. Listen, one day, some young lady who has tried to find happiness in a bottle is gonna come by to talk to you about life. One day, some young lady who has tried to find life in the nightclub and in all the wrong places is gonna come by to talk to you. Someday, some young lady who has tried to find love and promiscuity is gonna come and talk to you. And you are going to have to be around to tell them something. And of the value of love and happiness and what life is really about. So you have the moral obligation, Sulphur Springs women, to stick around this old world as long as you can, because that girl is going to come around, I assure you. We have talked about education and the importance of excellence in education. The world is rejecting failure and checking smartness at the door. Chairs at the banquet table of life are limited. The price of admission is high. So let me close with just these few words about women of all ages sharing and caring and coming together to improve your community. Yes, it's true. We need teachers. Somebody has to teach the children. We need doctors. People have to get sick. We need scientists looking into the future. But most of all, we need most of all of you. All you leaders, all of you mothers, all you deltas. We need you. You are the ones in the trenches, and you're the ones that's leading the way. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know you're doing just all of that. And we need leaders like the chief, somebody that can get in the trenches and be amongst the people and make them laugh and make them smile and make them feel good. You know, law enforcement, that's special. You don't find that often. So I like to applaud you, Chief. I really do. That made me feel good when I saw someone in her position, you know, just to be with the people. And so that's what we can't do. We as leaders and as pioneers have to stay in the trenches, leading the way so others can see, so they can go forward and then become leaders. Thank you so much this morning.
Well, ladies, do you feel empowered now? Wasn't that wonderful? What a day. I expect in the next few weeks for somebody to come ask how much time I have to sit down and talk, because we would like to buy a city bus, retrofit it, and have a mobile farmers market in Sulphur Springs. We are all for that. That is wonderful. I want to thank the speakers and our MC. What a wonderful day we had here. This summit grew out of a breakfast that I had at Layla's house, with the women expressing that some of their concerns and needs in Sulphur Springs. We have addressed every one of those major needs after women of Sulphur Springs developed a survey, took the survey, and that's what this summit is all about. It will be up to you, the women of Sulphur Springs, the divas of Sulphur Springs, to organize your efforts in order for us to have another summit in Sulphur Springs and another summit in Sulphur Springs. So we look forward to that. I would like for all the individuals that participated in the committee process to stand up and be recognized. I would like for all of the staff of the Children's Board that have worked tirelessly on this to stand up, and I thank you so much. Where is HCC? You know, we had HCC champions. They provide childcare today. So HCC has some good news for us, but if we'll see what the children have been doing while we have been empowered today, so have the children of Sulphur Springs. How do you like that? I have every intention of that being on display at our board meeting next week. So isn't that great? Give them a big hand.